Shiny hunting is probably the most popular activity to do in Pokemon games these days, but it wasn't always this way. Shiny hunting has changed unrecognizably over the years, and today I want to delve into that journey. Now, shinies were first introduced in Generation 2 back in 1999, which is quite a long time ago, but trust me, there have always been shiny hunters around, so I wanted to find out where it all started. I wonder who the first person to ever shiny hunt was, or what was the first ever shiny Pokemon posted online. I had no idea where to start. Shiny Pokemon predate pretty much every social media website I could think to search. The term shiny Pokemon itself was actually originally a fan-made term, probably coming from the term shining Pokemon as they were sometimes called in Japanese in the trading card game. The first time they were ever explicitly called shiny Pokemon was in Black and White, but the fans have been calling them shinies pretty much since the beginning, so I did some digging. The oldest use of the term that I could find was from this random Pokemon forum called Azure Heights, which by the looks of it appears to be some university student's project that is somehow still up. Either way, this forum post is the oldest use of the term I could find, dating way back to June of 2000, which by the way is months before Gold and Silver even came out in English. So clearly there have been some pretty hardcore shiny enthusiasts right from the beginning. Yep, they were some hardcore gamers indeed. And for you hardcore gamers, I have just the thing to show you. Thanks so much to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. So it's Raid's 4th birthday. Say happy birthday right now. So you know about Raid. It's the hit mobile hero collection RPG with over 80 million downloads. That is significantly higher than I can count. Raid has amazing console graphics stuffed into a mobile game that you can take with you on the go. For me, I like collecting things and I like art. So with there being over 650 amazingly designed champions with more coming out all the time, and literally billions of different ways to customize them all, I'm just spoiled. Like, look at some of these designs, they are nice. But there's nothing quite as special as your very first champion. Who was yours? Mine was Galek. We've been through a lot together. He's a homie. So I have one very important question to ask of you. Did you get Raid Shadow Legends a present for their birthday? You didn't? Well, that's okay, because at this birthday party, Raid's the one giving out gifts. To celebrate, there are tons of goodies. You can scan my QR code to get the epic new champion Kellen the Shrike, and a bunch of other goodies like energy refills, magic potions, and XP brews. You can also enter the promo code 4YearsRaid in-game to get 4 legendary skill tomes, and even more useful stuff. It's too much for me to carry! You can even come and find me under the username CandyEvie and come join my clan. You can use my link in the description or the neat little QR code in the corner of the screen to check everything out. Thanks so much again to Raid for sponsoring this video. So back in Gen 2, options for finding a shiny Pokemon were fairly limited. The base odds were 1 out of 8,192, but if you bred a shiny Pokemon, because of the way that stats and shininess are calculated in Gen 2, your chances of the resulting egg being shiny were a lot higher. Kind of like a very primitive and much easier Masuda method. Gen 3 was like the Wild West of shiny hunting, with it being the only generation with no way to increase your shiny odds. If you wanted to find a shiny, you just had to suck it up and start looking. YouTube launched in 2005, but the first ever shiny Pokemon video wasn't uploaded until July 19th, 2006, being a video of someone flexing a shiny Kyogre. Seriously, this channel has been dead for 16 years, and their only 2 videos are of this shiny Kyogre. This dude actually went on to have a sizable following doing Nintendo stuff, which is cool. Maybe someone should tell them that they uploaded the first ever shiny video. It's a life-changing achievement, they need to know. There aren't very many shiny videos at all from around this time, but they steadily started to pick up once Diamond and Pearl came out. With the Poké Radar and Masuda method, more people were finding out about shinies than ever before. And it's around this time, 2008-ish, where 9-year-old Lucy, that's me, comes into the picture. So I first found out about shiny Pokemon when I found a random shiny Zubat in my Ruby version. I had no clue what it was, but I thought, yeah, that's probably quite rare. I should catch it. I then gave it the appropriate nickname, Rare Bat. I still have him today, he's like an ancient relic. I was quite confused, so with my parents' permission, I went on the family computer and proceeded to type in green Zubat into Google, and from from here, this is where the world of shiny Pokemon opened up to me. And over the next few years, I actually successfully hunted a few full-odd shinies. I was doing it before I even knew it was a thing. It wasn't until quite a few years later that I realized that there had been this slowly growing community of people here on YouTube also looking for these rare creatures, and I thought, wow, that looks fun. I wonder if I could do that too and maybe make some friends. And that's how this channel was born. One of my favorite creators I looked up to so much when I was like 12 was the Supreme Arcanines. He's the dude that failed the shiny Giratina, if you've ever seen that video. He was, and still is really, this shiny hunting legend and was pretty much the main inspiration for me creating this channel. And somehow we're both still looking for them differently colored pocket monsters over 10 years later. I liked shiny hunting before, but after I started this channel, I really got into it. In my teen years, it was my single biggest hobby, and I actually made some friends through it. Most of us in this little shiny hunting community were socially awkward, autistic teenagers with way too much spare time on our hands. And when I say most, I'm only slightly exaggerating. I have genuinely never met as many other autistic people as I have through full-on shiny hunting. It's like a magnet. There's just something about it that appeals to us and draws us in. I went from having never met anyone else like me to all of a sudden just living the Spider-Man meme. The full-odd shiny hunting community is this whole rabbit hole in and of itself, and we're gonna take a dive. They've got their own terminology, inside jokes, community events. It's a lot. I've actually talked about one of these events on the channel before, Safari Week, which is where for 1 week every summer all community members shiny hunt in the Safari Zone because I guess we just like pain. But there were other events too. For example, there's Rumble Weekend where people look for shinies in Pokemon Rumble. The two main events I remember were called WSHC and ISHC, which stands for International Shiny Hunting Cup and Winter Shiny Hunting Cup. These were events that ran for 2 months, where you gather into teams of up to 5 people and just find as many shinies as humanly possible. These were seriously competitive events. The blogs are all still live if you're curious to take a look at some shiny hunting history. If you look at 2014, for example, my team came 13th. There's a particular shiny hunting term I've got to talk about, and that's called a FOIT, which stands for First on YouTube. Now let me tell you, back in the day, this was a coveted title among shiny hunters. It basically meant that you'd found a shiny that no one else had ever uploaded on YouTube before, and so you got to put First on YouTube in your title for that sweet, sweet clout. It was really funny because people would hunt terrible shinies just for the bragging rights. This is definitely not something I ever participated in. Why would I do such a thing? One of the worst crimes you could commit in the shiny hunting community was to steal someone else's FOIT. Say you've been hunting for a shiny Basculin for months, just waiting for your moment of glory and your precious First on YouTube title, when someone else catches wind of what you're doing and swoops in, finds the shiny Basculin immediately, and all of your efforts were for nothing. Or an even worse crime, daring to use a cheating device. Cheating devices were so controversial that whenever you made a shiny video back in the day, you had to flip your console around in the video and prove that there was no action replay, or else you're in trouble. If you got caught using one of these, then you'd be expelled from the community. Yeah, we don't talk about Shiny Hunter 699. He got caught using an action replay last ISHC, so we had to kick him out of the Skype group. Cheating devices are a funny topic. They were generally quite frowned upon, but a lot of people would, and still do, use them to be able to hunt uncatchable shinies. So things like event legendaries, or Pokemon that are shiny locked. I never really got it. Personally, I think that if you have to hack to remove the shiny lock, then you might as well just go all the way and hack it to be shiny too, but to each their own. But around the time when I started making my first videos, something completely unforeseen happened. The shiny odds split of 2013. When X and Y were released for the first time, the base odds of a wild shiny Pokemon were split in half, going from 1 out of 8192 to 1 out of 4096. And you'd think this is a good thing, right? Better odds means more shinies. Isn't that something to be happy about? Oh no. I cannot express how controversial this was in these little shiny hunting groups I was in. It was a divisive issue. A lot of people thought it was now too easy to find shinies and you would legitimately get shunned by some people for hunting an X and Y, let alone if you used a method like friend safari or fish chaining, or God forbid the shiny charm. It was actual shiny hunting elitism, which is a hilarious statement on its own. X and Y was the starting point for shiny hunting becoming what it is today. While these days it seems inevitable that a new game's content will be data mined and shared around the instant it comes out, when X and Y came out, the game wasn't actually fully data mined until nearly a month after its release. All this time, players had no way of knowing what the shinies of the new Pokemon looked like. It's pretty wild to think back then that people would be hunting shinies without having any idea what they looked like. Oh, I really love the new Pokemon Vivillon. I'm gonna go look in the Friend Safari for a shiny one. I bet it looks so cool. Oh wow, would you look at that? Literally 90% of it is the same. Not knowing what the shinies looked like created a lot of mystery and intrigue. Anyone who wanted to know what a certain shiny looked like would now be looking to the shiny hunting community to find out. Videos of people finding shiny Pokemon were suddenly getting tens of thousands of views out of nowhere. It was spreading. With there being more ways to find shinies than ever before, more and more people started shiny hunting. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire only made this explode in popularity even more. The Dexnav and Mirage spots were intensely popular ways of shiny hunting. On top of Masuda method, fish chaining, Poké Radar, and Friend Safari, Gen 6 is where I started to see people outside of my little shiny hunting community making videos about shiny Pokemon. It was at this point that the controversy of full odds versus method shiny hunting really hit its peak. There were lots of other way bigger creators making massively popular content about shinies, and I think a lot of people in the full odds community felt very protective over their little hobby that was suddenly going mainstream. I remember Vantage made a video at the time that I feel really sums up the situation quite well. It all seems quite silly looking back now, seeing how heated people really were getting about how other people wanted to hunt shiny Pokemon. My opinion hasn't really changed much since then. Like, sure, some shinies are objectively rarer than others. My 1 in 3 million chance shiny Azurill is obviously a lot rarer than a shiny someone found in Pokemon Go, but I think that assessing value in shinies is pointless. I could spend years looking for a full odd shiny, doing thousands upon thousands of encounters for it, but some random kid could value their first ever shiny that they found in 10 minutes through Pokemon outbreaks just as much as I value mine. I think if you're doing it in a way that's fun for you, then it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. It was around this point where Pokemon also realized how big of a marketing opportunity shinies are. They'd use shinies here and there for events, the odd few cards in the trading card game, but it was at this point where they realized how lucrative they really are. Suddenly there were shiny Pokemon plushies, more shiny Pokemon cards than you can ever imagine. Like legit, pretty much every single expansion has shinies in it now. There's this one set that has over 100 in it, and now they do this really cool thing where they shiny lock the new legendaries and then they release them later as promotional events, which absolutely everyone loves. I stopped properly shiny hunting around 2017 so that I could focus more on videos for this channel, but it kept going without me. Shinies may be easier than ever to find now, but some people still want to challenge themselves. Or maybe they just prefer how the shinies look in past gens. Which is true, shiny Bulbasaur got ruined by 3D, he looked so good before, I want justice! But the community of people shiny hunting in older games is very much alive and well. It all seems a lot more chilled out than when I was a teenager, but there's still some pretty wild stuff going on. People are still finding new ways to push the boundaries of shiny hunting with some pretty whack results. Recently, I've seen people hunt the Colosseum bonus disc Jirachi, the Manaphy egg from Pokemon Ranger. Apparently in Pokemon Battle Revolution, the Pokemon costumes have a chance to be shiny. This is all insanely obscure and unbelievably time-consuming stuff that no one dared hunt back in the day. Even if I don't shiny hunt much anymore, I can't help but get excited every time I see new discoveries being made. In terms of streaming, shiny hunting is probably the most popular Pokemon activity. These days, pretty much every streamer you will watch will own something called a capture card, usually an Elgato. It's something you plug into your console and it allows you to stream footage to your PC. Now back when Pokemon was on handheld consoles, this was much different. To do this, you needed to get a modded console that had the capture card built into it. These were hard to come by and very expensive, so the vast majority of people back then would instead use a camera and push it right up to the DS screen. Yes, it was a very awkward way of streaming and I don't miss it. Over the years, capture cards have become a standard for streaming. I eventually did get my first capture card way back in 2015 from a dodgy Japanese company, which then broke after 2 weeks of use. Yeah, I really don't miss it. It's been quite surreal for me seeing my obscure little hobby slowly turn into this content powerhouse online. Seeing videos about shiny Pokemon crack millions of views compared to my little camera recordings that'd get maybe a few hundred back in the day. It's bizarre seeing just how big of a pull shinies are these days. A new game comes out and the first thing I'll see on Twitter or YouTube is someone shiny hunting or making a shiny guide. I think it really hit home for me when I was just looking up a list of Paldea Pokemon for one of my videos and I instead found a gaming article detailing how you could shiny hunt every single new Pokemon. To me, that is crazy. No one cared that much about shinies when I was growing up, but now they're stage and center. They've become this uniting thing for the community as a whole. No longer are people just shiny hunting for hours in their rooms, but with Pokemon Go and community days, looking for differently colored creatures is now an experience that can be shared in a new way. While when I was growing up, shinies were this mythical thing most kids playing the game probably didn't know about. Now if you pick up a copy of the newest Pokemon game, you'll probably find multiple shinies in a single playthrough. It's part of the gameplay now. None of the game guides I had growing up even mentioned shinies, but now there's a plethora of guides online designed to help you find as many sparkling pocket monsters as possible. Things have really changed. Part of me wants to be defensive and be like, oh, I liked this before it was cool. But at the same time, this is great for me. Suddenly I have this entire library of dumb shiny content I made as a teenager that I can just rework into banging videos now. I guess some things don't change. Deep down, it's always been about the YouTube clout. Hey, thanks for watching. I also have a little announcement. If any of you are going to be at MegaCon Live next week, I'm going to be there on the 25th and the 26th with some friends. We're going to be doing a Pokemon panel and opening up some packs of cards. It's going to be a lot of fun, so I hope to see you there. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!